In this video, we're going to be talking about the transaction screen. We're going to go over doing a sale, trade, refund. We're going to apply store credit, check out tax exemption, adding a customer. We're going to learn a little bit about quick items, going through and changing our transactions and managing old transactions, pulling them up. Of course, we're going to check out and we're going to do some base discount applying. Let's go ahead and we'll start with a sale here. I have a UPC that I want to use, and with our system, UPCs, whenever you put something into your inventory, it usually has a generated unique SKU. This is the SKU for this item, but some of you may be using the original UPC only, and scanning that in here will give you the same result. If I scan an item in here and I have multiple variants of the same UPC, I'll be given a list of items to look up. So let me show you an example here. I just type in Pokemon Blue. I have 5 different versions to pick from, and they are all different conditions. So they're either sealed or incomplete. All my sealed ones have a near mint, a mint sealed, 2 of them that are mint and sealed, looks like they're the same price. So depending on their SKU is depending on the one that I have. So we can just select which one we want by clicking on that. I'll go ahead and I'll delete one of these. Great. Now, whenever we scan an item in, we should have all the details here. We have the media condition, the secondary condition. We have all of our where it comes from. If the item has tags, tags will be listed here as well. And to simply do that trade or do that sale, we just simply hit checkout. We would apply what type of currency we want to use, cash, debit, credit, etc., and simply finalize the transaction. If there's a mistake in the transaction, we can hit this clear here to clear any money, or we can cancel and go back to the transaction and run it. So instead of finalizing, since that's all going to be the same across the board, we'll go ahead and do a few extra things here. So we will add a customer. We're going to look for myself here, and there's a lot of different versions of me in this test data here, because this is our testing environment where we're actively building things. But at the time of this video, anything that you see in these videos should also be on the live server. So let's Article 3. And we selected our user. They'll have their name here. We see information, customer information, if we need to look at anything or adjust anything about that customer. We can remove that customer. We see their transaction number that we're in. Store credit that we have, this user currently has 85 store credit, so we're going to use $85.19 of that store credit towards this. So our current total is $354.73. We're going to apply that store credit. Now we're down to $269.54. If there's something wrong with this store credit, or I put something in wrong, it should technically catch it. So let's see if I do $90 store credit. We can't do that because I don't have $90 store credit, so it prevents us from doing that. Go ahead and do my full store credit again. Apply my store credit, and we've removed $85.19 from this total, and we can now check out. We're going to use cash for this because I don't have at this time. I don't have the credit card integration set up on this screen. So we'll finalize. Once the transaction is completed, as long as your settings are correct, you will automatically print receipts, and you will automatically print any labels if you're doing a trade-in. And you can, of course, optionally email the receipt. We can see here if there's any change that's due, which will pop the drawer for us to pull out any change if we have any number here. And then we can simply hit this X to continue. Trade pretty much works the same. Of course, it's some different functionality since we're pulling some items in, so let's go ahead and do a trade. I'm going to trade in Pokemon Red. Let's say I don't have the item in front of me, or it's just the cartridge, so I'm going to see if I can find it. So we got a Game Boy Advance Fire Red. Now I want this one right here. This is what we want. A vintage cartridge game at 312 Pokemon Fire Red. So you can see here a couple of differences. We have the conditions, the default condition. You can change these defaults in your settings, but we have it set to automatically go to incomplete at near mint. And then we can see our trade value here. We can see what we would try sell it for as well based on these settings. So let's say they brought it in and it's sealed. So completely sealed, you can see that price immediately jumps up, right? But in most cases, somebody's putting something in and it's probably going to be incomplete, meaning that it's just the cartridge, missing the box, things like that. And these different conditions are going to be different based on the type of item that you bring in, which we'll show an example of in just a second. And then we're going to say that it is very good. So it's incomplete, very good. I'm willing to give $10.29 for it. The selling price is going to remain the same for that slight variation. If I need to see any more information about this UPC, I can click UPC. The UPC data will pull up the catalog entry for it. This is the predetermined information that we have on our master catalog that's been passed down to you, so you can check it, verify it, change it, anything like that. So we can see our catalog details, we see our title, we can see the price chart, excuse me, we can see the price charting value, any modifiers that we have. We can see links to Amazon, eBay, price charting related to this item. If I click on them, it'll take us to them. We can adjust titles, departments, artists, configuration, our initial pricing. That MSRP is very much wrong. We'll take a look at that. Some items might not have a MSRP if we don't have the information that goes that far back, so it should be changed to a 0. So that'll be fixed by the time you see this, hopefully. We can see our vendor references. If we have a vendor who sells it, that will go and list itself here, which this should actually disappear if there is no vendor reference. But we can also see our ASIN, our eBay IDs, price charting IDs. We can adjust behaviors to this catalog, whether it's a bucket item, which we'll talk about later, whether it requires a serial like a game console, and we can get our descriptions here. Some default descriptions get pulled in, and so you can see this one's from Amazon, and this information is primarily just for you to determine where it is, but you can also sync it to your e-commerce, so you can check your descriptions where it gets pulled from and make any adjustments. We can go to our history for this UPC. This will show us any orders that have ever came from a vendor, if it was a vendor item, history of any transactions and transfers of this UPC. We can also see all the different variation in prices according to these conditions, whether what we would trade them in for, what we'd sell them for. So if you need to find the price point that you're willing to take for this item, you can adjust accordingly on the trade, on the fly. If we ever need to edit anything, we can just hit this little edit icon right here. So like, I don't want that Amazon.com thing in here. We'll go ahead and update. Let's get this little warning that this is going to change this permanently. Great. Now the item's been updated. We'll double check my settings here. I'm at incomplete, near mint. All right, so in this case, we're going to do store credit. I'm going to apply it to a customer. We're going to go to that Rockwell 3, and we're going to give him some more store credit since he spent it all. We applied that store credit here. Now the total is 0. So now what we can do is we can add additional information to this item. So we have condition tags. So this would be like box, no manual, game, if we wanted to say something like that. Or we could say tear on box. And any tags that we have used before will show up in this list here so that we can see what kind of format to actually use for our tags. So it's kind of up to you guys how you want to utilize condition tags. This just helps identify the item that you're looking at, what's wrong with it, what makes it special. You could also say something like autographed, so that way you can note that that's why we gave more to this one, even though the conditions may not match up with what it is that you need. And then we can come in here and we can actually just delete those tags. And whenever we delete a tag that way, it deletes it from pretty much any item that uses it. It gets rid of that tag entirely. Oops, need to re-add myself here. So down here, we can also choose what we trade for. So since I applied store credit, I can't actually click cash. But if we remove that store credit, we now have the option to trade this for cash and adjust our pricing entirely. So now I'm only going to do $49.18, and we can do our checkout. We're checking out as cash. Go ahead and finalize our transaction. And with the trade, this is where we would actually have labels print off. On this screen, I don't think I can show them because I'm recording this area, but you can give it a run and you should see the labels print off by the typical UPC that you can peel and stick onto your trade items as they've come in. All right, next we're going to do a quick walkthrough just through discounts. We're going to go ahead and use that item that we just traded in. So let's go over here to our inventory. Oops. And let's see if we can find that copy of Pokemon Red we just put in. So this is the parent UPC. We'll talk about inventory management in a different video, but this is the parent UPC. And oops, just realized I had this open the whole time. All the information we went through still applies. We see here is the parent UPC. We can expand this. This will show us all the individual items. So we can see the individual SKU is different from the original UPC. This is the UPC that's on the back of the box. This is the UPC that's on the printed label. And it's for the incomplete near mint. And we're selling it for $2.89. And it cost us $49.18. We have one of them. And it came in today. And it has a tear on the box. There's no special notes about it or anything. We can adjust it here, reprint labels, whatever we need to do. We're just going to copy over this SKU and go back to start transaction, our sale. We can just scan it in and automatically pull it up, and it has our details here. We can adjust this price manually if we need to. Here we can go to apply discount. We can do it by percentage, direct amount, and sometimes we have coupons. We can take a look at our coupon list here, which I don't think we have any on. Yeah, we don't have any. If we had any active promos, we would get a list of coupons below, and you would just put in that code and it would apply a discount, or you could select a coupon that would show up for the different promotions. We'll do a percent here, and we'll cut it in half. We'll say 50%. So now our total for it is $153.34. We can see our total discounts removal right here. And then if we need to clear it, we can just remove that discount. Let's go ahead and complete this sale at the base value. We're going to do it for cash and just finalize. And now what we're going to do is go ahead and run a refund. There's two ways to do a refund. We can do it by the item. So if somebody brings in the item, we can directly scan that item to refund it. So we see here that it's going to be a refund for $280.99. If for some reason you don't attach refunds to a customer, we do it this way to kind of allow that. But additionally, we can go to manage transactions if you have the transaction ID, which is ideally what you want. And we can go to, so we go to manage transactions, completed, find our transaction ID, which was ends in 43, hit edit. You see everything here is in red. And if there's multiple items, we can select which item that we want to refund. Hit start refund. And what this will basically do is just create a new transaction, rescan that item in, then it will also update the old transaction that an item was removed from it for a refund. Let's see. So we're going to do it for store credit. So let me pull in. Let's see. That's pulling in how much store credit I have. So we can do it for the total store credit for the return if we want to do it that way. And then we zero it out. I know some places do gift certificates, which this would be a good place to talk about gift certificates real quick. For returning something with a gift certificate, Usually you'll have a SKU to scan in, but I don't have the SKU on me, so we're just going to type it in. So it should come in as a 0, because we don't have any value attached to it yet. And we're not going to refund the item itself value, we're going to take the total, because the gift certificates are not taxable. So we want to be able to put the direct amount in that's already been taxed to refund this item. And I'm going to attach a customer. It's not required. I'm just going to. And there's no total due, so we can finalize it. Of course, our receipts start printing. Gift certificates will print on the receipts as well. So you get a list of different types of receipts, one for your refund. If there's a store credit, you'll get a store credit receipt. Your gift certificate receipt will have a scannable code on it that they can bring back in and scan in to apply it. And then to apply a gift certificate, whenever they bring you one, you just put it in, you put the number here, or you can scan that number in right here. And then of course hit gift, and that'll apply gift certificate currency to a transaction. And we can go over here real quick. Gift certificates, and we can see, let's see, right here is our serial. It's 306.70 on it. And now we'll go over here. We'll see if we got Pokemon Red here. We got a Game Boy version, and I'm gonna buy it with my gift certificate code. And then we'll finalize that transaction. So there's no change or anything, it's just already applied it, and then the user can then reuse, or you can manage that gift certificate here. So you can search by the serial, see how much is left. Current balance is 0 because we purchased the exact amount for that item. For items with tax exemption, you can probably see the little tax exemption icon over here on the side. Now, if you notice, I put in Pokemon Red and I hit enter and only one thing came back. If we only have one item that matches the description of what we put in, or the SKU or the UPC that we put in, that only individual item will be what returns. So it's going to shoot back because we sold that Pokemon Red for the Game Boy. So this is Fire Red for Game Boy Advance that's coming back. Our total here is 141, our tax is 842, but if for some reason an item is tax exempt and it's not set in advance on this item, we can manually say that this transaction is tax exempt and check out as normal. And then the last thing that we're going to go over is just kind of the couple of the other buttons. So if I put an item in, I'm going to search just Pokemon to see various items. We have multiple different items, multiple varying conditions. I'm just going to pick something at random. So we have our active transaction ID, 653.76. If I need to put in a different one, we can enter it right here and it'll just load it. If I need to clear the items on this transaction, I can just hit clear. And that keeps the same transaction ID, just turns off all the items. If you're working on a transaction and it stays pending for 7 days, it'll actually remove itself from the list of pending transactions. So there's 7 days for somebody to come back in, continue a transaction if you were working on something with someone and it was a huge list and you want to just go back to it. So we'll say this one, for example. And we'll just go ahead and we'll clear this. And again, completed transactions, if you run those, they go into refund mode. We can also reprint receipts. We can reprint labels, anything like that that already existed from that transaction. And I believe that's just about everything with transactions. We'll touch base real quick on quick items again. And I'll have to double check. So quick items are your bulk items. We can sell those by a bulk, give them a value. You can make anything a bulk item. We'll go over that later. Say it's $100, and we've got 100 of them, and the price changes accordingly. We can set different items to be bulk. Alright, that concludes everything for the transactions, I believe. If you have any questions about how transactions work, just let us know, shoot us an email. You can also ask questions by clicking this little support icon at the bottom, making sure your email is accurate, and then ask your question here, and simply hit report issue. And that will send us an email with any questions or bugs that you find, or anything that might need some extra eyes to it.